okay with it if this is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But it's more than that, right? It's that J.D. Vance says that this is a basis to not certify the 2020 election because he's unwilling to say that the election was stolen in the traditional way that's sort of accused, which is fake ballots, illegal immigrants voting, that kind of thing. And this is kind of his story for why the election was stolen, is the censoring of the Hunter Biden laptop story. But if that's your position, that the election was stolen the minute that they censored the story, even though I think there could be good arguments that the Streisand effect, it increased the story, how can you not say similarly that Elon Musk and Trump are trying to steal the 2024 election by censoring the Vance files, where we now have a New York Times article which sources people close to Elon Musk and saying that there was 100% a collusion between Donald Trump and Elon Musk in taking down this story. So how is this not the exact same thing that J.D. Vance is saying was theft in 2020? And then how, using that logic, how doesn't that preclude you from voting for Trump and Vance if they're engaged in a theft of the 2024 election?
Okay, so I had not heard that part for Vance. Was that in that the one from this week?
Yeah. So he's like being asked, did Trump lose the election? He's like, well, they censored the story, and according to some bogus allegations, this would have swung the election, and basically, therefore, it's theft. That was his argument.
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, I remember the what his response from the debate, but no, I hadn't caught that from this week. I mean, no. In my opinion, that's not what would have swung the election one way or the other. All right. Like the story being suppressed, be it for 2 days or a couple of weeks, either way, that's not what swung the election. So I wouldn't agree with that statement. But I mean, just listening to what you were saying with the other speaker, where you're talking about just Harrison Waltz having more moderate positions. I mean, at that point, it's just, I don't trust the moderate positions. Does that make sense? And I don't, at the end of the day, everything did go over peacefully through the 2020 transfer of power, right? So.
Well, hold on, wait, that's not true. Wait.
Personally,
that's not true, right? There was a huge riot on the
January 6th thing, yeah. But I'm saying after, including it even occurred on that day. The election was certified.
Well, no. Hold on, wait. You can't. It's not, if there was violence and then the violence failed and then afterwards there was a transfer. That's not peaceful, right? There was violence. There
were definitely poor actors, and Destiny, I have heard your arguments on this, and I mean, I've read through the Jack Smith paperwork, and I mean, it's a tough read, and I've spoke with my lawyer friends about it, but really, at the end of the day, it would have been better had that gone to court, because then we would have a definitive answer instead of us just having...
Wait. We don't need a definitive answer. It was not a peaceful transfer of power, right?
Mostly peaceful. If we
no. It was not a peaceful transfer of power, right? On the certification of the vote, that had to be delayed because people had invaded the Capitol building. That was part of the transfer of power. So it was not a peaceful transfer of power, right?
I'll give you that it was. It should have been better.
It was not a peaceful transfer of power, though, right?
Fair.
Okay.
But at the end of it, we did get there, and I do not. This is just personally, and I mean, I'm not going to say I've read everything that you've read, Destiny, right? But personally, I do not see the threat of him being Trump becoming a dictator.
Okay, hold on. Wait. World War II ended peacefully. Do you agree with that?
That World War II ended peacefully?
Yes.
I mean, after the bombs were dropped, sure.
Is that truly a statement that you would make, that the ending of World War II was peaceful?
After the bombs were dropped, they were very cordial when they signed the paper.
Okay, would you say that the BLM riots then were generally peaceful, mostly peaceful?
I mean, that's what the narrative is, isn't it?
I didn't ask what the narrative was. I'm asking you. Would you say that the BLM riots were mostly peaceful?
Mostly would be an accurate term for that, yes, because the majority of people that were going into the BLM protests were not acting violently or destructively. So mostly would be an accurate descriptor. Yeah.
Okay. So then just recentering on the J6 thing. So it wasn't a peaceful transfer of power. There was an attempt to violent. No, it wasn't. What do you mean mostly? Does there have to be violence every day?
Well, no, but I mean, like, okay, one person was killed that day, Ashley Babbitt.
Wait, it has nothing to do. It doesn't have to do with anybody getting killed. There is a process. There is an official proceeding to certify the vote. That proceeding was interrupted for 6 hours because of violence. That's part of the transfer of power. It was interrupted. There wasn't a peaceful transfer of power. It was interrupted by violence. So definitionally, it was not a peaceful transfer of power. The National Guard had to be deployed to move people out of the Capitol to bring the lawmakers back in to certify the results, right?
Mostly peaceful.
Okay. I mean, if
wait, no, hold on. Why did they leave the Capitol?
They being
the lawmakers that were certifying the vote. Why did they leave the bill? Why did they suspend the certification of the vote?
Because people had come into Congress.
Okay. Is the certification of the vote part of the transfer of power?
Ceremoniously, yeah.
So you don't think it matters if they actually certify the electoral votes in Congress? You don't think it does anything? You don't think it means anything?
I mean, yes, it does, but I mean it's a ceremony, right? So I mean,
it's an act that has legal consequence. Yes. In order for them to assume the office, they need to be declared the winners by Congress. That's in the Constitution. It's not just some ceremonial pro forma.
So
thing.
it's not ceremonial. It's procedural. It's essential.
Okay, sorry.
Right. No, that's okay.
You're right.
Okay.
No, I misspoke. It's procedural.
Okay.
You're right.
So if that's the procedure by which power is transferred, and that procedure was interrupted by violence, then how can we say it was a peaceful transfer of power?
Well, I'm going to go back to mostly, and the entire thing is it occurred. It did happen.
Yes,
right?
The ending of World War II happened. But that doesn't mean World War II was peaceful. And it doesn't mean the ending was peaceful. It ended off the back of 2 atomic bombs being dropped. So for the peaceful transfer of power in the United States to have happened, there needs to be no disruption of that transfer with violence, which there was.
Okay, I'll concede that. Fair.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and so I guess last before we move on to some other area, I guess. But you are going to vote for Trump, right? Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Do you think that he lost the 2020 election?
Yes, I do.
And you believe he knows that, right?
Yes, I do. I think he just says things to his base or to, while in the middle of a campaign, just as any politician does.
So how can you vote for someone who...
Wait, hold on. Wait, just a real quick, and then Pisco can do this on... Hold on. What other politician in Congress or in the executive in the past 20 years has said that there was mass voter fraud that flipped the election?
I don't know if anyone said that exact quote.
That's even alluded to that. A politician, okay. not somebody on CNN said this, not somebody on Twitter said this, not Hillary saying he's an illegitimate president. Somebody saying there was mass voter fraud, like the vote machine switched votes, people stuffed ballots and did massive dumps. What other lawmaker or president has said that in the past 20 years?
I mean, we have the whole hanging Chad thing, but I guess that was just a little bit over 20 years ago, so fair point.
Hold on, wait. Do you think the hanging Chad thing, do you think that is in any way equivalent to the Donald Trump claim?
I'm pointing out instances where the election has been called into question. That
was Al Gore begging for a recount, which he never got, by the way. That was Al Gore begging for them to complete a recount that he never got. Trump got that on like day one in so many different states. He got like 3 recounts in many different states. And so what you're comparing to is the denial of a recount, which, by the way, Al Gore accepted that.
Yes, not only did he accept it, I believe that was ended on, I think it was December 14th on the when the electors voted. He didn't fight all the way to J6, and I believe he even said that it would have been ridiculous to fight the assertion on.
And he gavelled in George Bush
Kerry, yep.
himself. Because
Yes.
he was the vice president at the time.
Correct.
So Al Gore was the VP at the time. I can't believe it when conservative MAGA people compare Al Gore's just requesting of a recount through litigation